Ladies and gentlemen, we gather here in the name of spectacle. We are drawn together in this contorted cathedral called Coney in order to behold from the darkest corners of the Amazonian canopy, conceived in wonder, birthed in mystery, and swallowed in danger, the last, lone, luscious queen of Coney Island, Miss Virginia Dentata.
You can cringe, you can wince, but don't dare blink. Feast your famished eyes on the master of the macabre, the prince of pain, Nightmare Pete. And if your eyes are still hungry, worry not. Pete's got a little dessert lined up.
Hey, Nightmare Pete's Coney Island sideshow. It's a long way from Broadway, and the building looks close to being condemned. And there are only 2 employees. That'd be Nightmare Pete himself and a lady named Virginia Dentata. Only other witness was the one audience member for this afternoon's performance. Guy's name is Archie Fox, and he's sticking around.
The real show's just starting.
Got no ID on the victim yet. Coroner's assistant said her liver temp showed the time of death about midnight.
A couple of items of interest here. Her makeup is odd, and her dress looks expensive. I'm gonna take some photos. That's not gonna cut it. If we're lucky, maybe the killer left his prints on the sword handle. We should get...
You notice anything odd about the posters here?
Yeah, they look identical. Let's examine them a little closer to be sure. The bottom corners of both of them have been torn off. That can't be a coincidence.
Hello, detectives. Someone said you wanted to talk to me?
So, you're Nightmare Pete. I'm sorry, I have to ask, how did you not notice a dead girl on your stage?
See, it's just Virginia and me who run the place. We alternate acts, do the whole show between the 2 of us. Kind of a mom and pop shop. I mean, we're not married yet, and my mom and pop weren't into latex and hardware aficionados, but anyway, we came in early, and the mark was waiting for us. I knew the props were still set from last night, so we jumped right into the show. I had no idea there'd be a little addition to the cast. Virginia and me, we're both cast and crew. One of us handles the spotlight while the other does their thing on stage. Coney Island's got a rich history of sideshows and carny folk, but we're about all that's left. Just old carny talk for audience members. I think I heard him tell the cops his name was Archie. Seemed a little goofy. Started snapping pictures during the show. But his $12 was good. Any other place, we'd be more like a late night act. But after dark, this neighborhood's got scarier stuff than we could ever perform, and no ticket necessary. Our last show yesterday finished around 8 p.m. Closed up, spent the night together at my place, and came back here at noon.
So neither of you left your home all night?
Right. With Virginia at my place, what more could I go out looking for? Oh, yeah. I stopped doing the fire-eating bit a little while back. Switching between swords and flames, the lozenge budget was getting ridiculous. Look, that might be my sword, but I swear, I didn't know that girl.
Your sword's evidence. It's going with us.
It's all yours.
Estelle, I can take what we have so far back to the lab. Well, that is, unless you need me to stick around a little longer to help you process the rest of the scene.
Hey, Hawks. Maybe you should stick around. It just might get a whole lot more interesting.
You bet. Box of hard candy, and it appears to be locked shut. Oh, looks like somebody around here must have a sweet tooth. Ms. Virginia Dentata here was behind the spotlight when the body was discovered.
Hello, Detective. Strange show this afternoon.
That's an understatement.
Sorry, I'm still a little shaken up. You know, I want every member of the audience to think of me once they're home and in bed. But it's never our show's intent to cause nightmares.
Not exactly packing in the crowds, I see.
This afternoon's audience was just one chubby guy waiting for us when we arrived. But we had nearly 5 people at our last show. A young lady killed like that on my stage sort of distracts from my performance. Oh, we've never had a fire eater.
Well, that's not what Pete told us. He says he used to do blades and blaze.
Blades and blaze. That's cute. Oh, and you're right. I forgot. Pete used to eat fire.
Do you recognize the girl you found today?
Oh, no. I've never seen her before. Oh, do you think it was a suicide?
Not likely.
The door's been kicked in several times now. Homeless people looking for a place to sleep, I guess. panel was knocked out when Pete and I arrived today, but nobody was inside. Except, ooh, probably the dead lady, huh? I'm not really an off-the-rack girl, but I've seen that brand in fashion magazines. It's not the kind of thing you'd find in Coney Island shops. The chubby man was taking pictures. Wardrobe ideas for his wife, maybe. The chubby guy might give you a glance at his snapshots, as long as you promise to give them back.
Archie Fox here was the only set of eyes in the audience.
No distractions then. So what'd you see?
I came here to see a guy put a screwdriver up his nose, or smoke a cigarette through his eyelids, or maybe some sort of half-person, half-something else that lives in a cage, you know? I mean, I didn't come to see a real, live, dead lady.
You got here in the middle of the day. Don't you work?
I do odd jobs. I've got a big family. They always need help with their businesses. Thought the body was cool when I thought it was fake, that is. Like a horror movie.
First time you've ever seen a dead body?
Let me think. That's mine. I brought some snacks in my fanny pack. Guess that part of the show got canceled. I sure didn't see it. I brought an old Polaroid camera in my fanny pack. I snapped some pictures. Then I realized I was snapping pictures of a dead girl. Well, that's when I...
Okay, Mr. Fox, may we have the rest of the photos you took?
Sure, I've got them right in my fanny pack.
Of course.
So you're gonna head straight back to the lab?
No, morgue. See if our distinguished ME can offer us some guidance.
Before getting under her skin, let's talk about what's on top of it. Her clothes don't fit right.
Stolen, maybe? No time to try them on?
Well, her makeup's just as bad, hastily applied, and I'm no expert, but the colors seem really off.
How about what's beneath all that?
No signs of trauma at first glance, but I don't get paid for first glances. Let's look a little closer. Let's get a closer look to see if there are any irregularities on the surface of the skin.
Is that a needle mark on her neck?
It sure looks like it, but the placement of the puncture is inconsistent with intravenous drug use.
Maybe it wasn't her choice.
Lethal injection?
Heading back to the lab, see what the tox report tells us.
Hey, boss. You want to give me a hand with checking the prints of Jane Doe?
Name comes back as Bunny. Local prostitute with the usual tally, solicitation, possession. Her previous mugshots hardly look high fashion.
So the getup could have been the request of a John. Dressed to be killed? Here's a little test to keep your eyes sharp. Photo on the left is from Archie Fox's camera during the show. Photo on the right was snapped by Hawks at the crime scene. Notice the differences? Exactly. The thing that jumped out at me was the shovel missing from the crime scene. Somebody must have ditched it after finding the girl. Perhaps a few more questions are in order. Sid told me about the puncture wound on the Vic's neck. You can help me figure what went in that took her out. Quite a lethal cocktail of toxins. Injected into her neck like that, the poison would quickly circulate through her system. Death would be nearly instantaneous. Painless, but in like a sick way. So while you were checking on that, I ran the prints and the blood you collected from Pete's sword.
I'm salivating with anticipation, yes?
The blood belongs to Bunny, and the print came back as Pete's. No real surprise there.
It's interesting that his was the only print, though. I'm gonna head back over there and see if I can find that shovel.
Detectives, if you're expecting the show to go on, I've got some bad news for you.
Not to worry. I see enough freaks without buying a ticket.
You look tense, Detective. I could show you some wonderful stress relief techniques I've learned in my travels.
Doesn't look like you deal with the usual office headaches.
Well, there's always latex to polish and snakes to feed. I was raised an orphan, wandering the world.
And this is where you ended up.
Oh, I'm far from ending. Oh, that's the shovel that Pete took out to the dumpster right before you arrived the first time. Guess he wanted to tidy the place up for your visit. A real neat freak, you know.
And what dumpster would that be, exactly?
There's only one, right out back. Oh, we've never had a fire eater.
Well, that's not what Pete told us. He says he used to do blades and blaze.
Blades and blaze. That's cute. Oh, and you're right. I'm not really an off-the-rack girl, but I've seen that brand in fashion magazines. It's not the kind of thing you'd find in Coney Island shops.
I think it's time for a little dumpster diving.
I can hardly wait. Smells like Times Square before our last mayor.
Making you nostalgic?
Makes me tear up, that's for sure.
Dumpster's locked. Just our luck. Guess it was all in the cards. Let's see what I can get off this shovel. Prints and powder. Let's hope they lead somewhere.
dumpster dive there, Stella.
Just lucky you didn't get splashed. Bag the shovel and get it to Lindsay ASAP.
Hi there. No offense, but where in the world did you just come from?
Dumpster. Waist deep. Laundry day's tomorrow.
Got it.
What about the prints on the shovel handle?
I left him for you, Stell.
We got a winner. Vince Martinelli.
Let's see. History of domestic violence and solicitation of prostitutes. No listed address, and he's on parole. Who knows what he was doing at Nightmare Pete's, but judging by his appearance and his mugshots, I don't think he was their accountant. You could try to look him up, see where he's working now. Better take his rap sheet with you if you want some leverage with him.
Guess what? I've been doing a little snooping on the net, and it looks like Nightmare Pete's website has undergone a little alteration. I brought up the current version and an older version that was cached so that you can compare them.
Thanks, Adam. I'll check it out now. Sounds like Vince Martinelli. Maybe he's the missing fire eater.
Wonder why Virginia and Pete didn't want to tell us about their former third act.
Let's head over to the boardwalk and get it straight from his fireproof mouth.
You collected some good samples from the blade of the shovel you brought in. Let's get up close and personal with them and try to determine their chemical compositions. Calcite and aragonite, otherwise known as limestone.
Limestone, huh? Anything else we know about it?
Looks like a variety used in coastal construction. I'll tap some keys to find out who supplies this area. Find out where the digger done dug.
Excuse me, sir. Are you Vince Martinelli?
Who are you guys?
We're with the NYPD Crime Lab. Mind telling us why you left Nightmare Pete's sideshow?
Look, I was tired of being the third wheel over at Nightmare Pete's. At first I thought I could outlast Virginia. She wasn't budging. Now I'm just glad I got out of there before that body turned up. The show used to be just Pete and me, along with whatever freelance freaks we pick up for a show or two. But here comes that snake, wrapping around her leg, which gets Pete doing the same around her finger. Chick's a total Yoko. She starts demanding more stage time. Finally, says she's carrying the show. She wants more than a third of the money, and Pete gives it to her. I wanted to quit as soon as she joined, but Pete told me he'd tell my parole officer I'd lost my job, and that could get me locked up. Hell of a friend, huh? But he was desperate, needed my fire-eating act to get people in the door. I figured Virginia would fall first, but she just got worse. So I lined up this new gig and took off. Yeah, word travels fast on the boardwalk. Especially dead chick with a sword down her throat word. Something like that'll probably get them shut down. Crud on the shovels just from when I helped Pete scrape up some junk from behind the theater a few weeks ago. Rearview mirror. I'm done chomping flame. I've been working up a new theater act. Old-time, gruesome, Grand Guignol type show. As soon as I left Pete's, I told him I didn't want anything of me left behind.
The guy's definitely bitter, but if we locked him up for that, half the city'd be in jail, so we're gonna need something more on him.
Hey boss, what's the difference between you and my 6th grade computer teacher?
I have no idea, Adam.
You're not a 70-year-old woman, and you know how to use a computer. No, okay. Do you mind helping me with something? I nailed down the limestone companies who supplied the area, but they're in no rush to return my calls. Maybe you can figure out if any of them delivered to Coney Island recently. Nice work. You better head over and find out what's been going on at Fantásticas Amusement Park.
Fantástica amusement park's got a ways to go to be fantastic.
Amusing, Danny. Let's see what we can find out. Well, I don't think I should do that just yet. Looks like we have a double murder on our hands now. Get a sample of that limestone, Danny.
Ready, done.
Heidi-ho, name's Lucas Trenton. I'm the owner here. Something I can help you with?
We just unearthed a body on your site.
My God, just wretched. A body? Some poor soul? This is a new low. A new and abysmal low, but I will not be scared away. I still have hope for this place. Junkies, prostitutes, freaks. Coney Island is a menagerie of lost souls. That's what I'm trying to change by building here.
What exactly are you building?
Fantastica Amusement Park is going to be a beacon of yesteryear. A place where you can bring your kids, ride a carousel, have a... I love my city too much to let one of its old jewels crumble to nothing. My friends and associates think I'm nuts for trying to build out here, but Coney Island shouldn't belong to the criminals and perverts. Coney Island should belong to the good people of New York. Coney Island wasn't always a cauldron of debauchery, and it doesn't have to continue to be one. You have to be kidding! You're worried about litter with everything else going on here? Ugh, no, I'm not familiar with that candy. The limestone was delivered about a week ago. I'm sure we would have noticed if a body came along with it. Some creep must have dumped her here.
Never good when the only thing you bring back is another body.
Let's see what she can tell us about herself.
I've got your new Jane Doe prints lined up and ready to compare. You want to run them?
Yeah, let's run them. I'm ready as all... Okay, her name's Monica Green. What do we know about her?
The rap sheet reads just like Bunny's, another prostitute. This could be serial. Vince...
He also lied about the shovel. That limestone would have been nowhere near the back of the theater like he claimed. I'd say that's enough to earn him a bonus round of questions. Vince. I've been looking at your rap sheet. You and that Ferris wheel have something in common. You keep circling back to the same low places.
Yeah, a few fistfights. Boys being boys.
And the prostitutes?
Girls being girls. Or sometimes boys being girls. And thus, the fistfights. Look, if there's a criminal sociopath in Nightmare Pete's, it's Virginia.
Your passion for prostitutes and your history of violence are making you our prime suspect.
I care enough about a hooker that I kill the chick. Might as well get a girlfriend. Sorry, I'm not your man. Virginia DeTata ain't who she says she is. Couple weeks ago, after the show, the snooty lady calls her Vanessa Dalton. Said they took tennis lessons together at some country club. Vanessa didn't know I was watching, and she instantly drops her whole persona, her voice even, and starts talking to this snob about her parents' summer home. The whole caviar top deal.
What did Pete say when you told him about this?
I didn't tell him. He wouldn't believe me, and I was on my way out anyway. The way I look at it, someone like Vanessa, who'd pretend to be someone they're not, that's someone who's up to something.
What does that have to do with our two dead women?
One theory? Vanessa wants to take over the business. Already did a pretty good job at it anyway. And framing Pete for murder knocks out the last pawn in her way.
It's a bit far-fetched, don't you think? But if what you're saying is true, then we've only interviewed Virginia Dentata, not Vanessa Dalton.
Right. You want the truth about the shovel? We found a friggin' body. Pete and me. A couple of weeks ago, when I told him I was leaving, we met at the theater, 'cause he wanted to talk me out of it. We walk in, and the body's laying there, totally dead. Pete's stressing, I'm leaving him, bodies are popping up. Crappy night, you know? So I told him I'd do him one last solid, and keep the cops away from the theater. As much for my benefit as his. I took the body over to a construction site nearby and dumped her. Soon as I was done, I told Pete that was it for me and him. As friends, as business partners, as guys who dump dead chicks. Oh, and a little footnote here. The chick got dead on her own. We didn't have nothing to do with that part. Sure. Being the fire eater there was a great gig before all the office politics ruined it. That's the girl we found. Found, not created. Let me be clear. She was splayed out on the stage. The door had been kicked in, so it could have been anybody who came in and killed her.
If there's any truth to Vincent's tale about Virginia's blue-blooded past, there's bound to be traces of it online. Let me show you what I found. We've got her diploma here too. Vanessa's business degree makes Vincent's cutthroat entrepreneur theory sound at least a little more plausible. And her chemistry degree? She might have picked up a recipe for a poison hotshot.
Sounds like it's time to give her the third degree. Literally.
You just can't stay away, can you?
You really are smarter than your upper register suggests. Do you remember this?
And I thought it would be enough to peel the bumper sticker from my car. You got me. Guilty as charged. I have an overpriced Ivy League degree. Daddy got it for me, and I just didn't feel right returning it. Bravo! So, is there anything else I can do for you, investigators?
We just have a few more questions for you, Ms. Dalton. We've been talking with Vince.
Oh, right. Guess I forgot to tell you about Vince. After they had some sort of spat, Pete asked me to pretend the guy never existed. It wasn't hard. Vince didn't really fit in at Nightmare Pete's. I studied business and science so Daddy would pay for my education. He always told me my love of theater didn't have a future. My work here is, I guess, a pathetic little attempt to earn his approval. I figure I turn Nightmare Pete's into a profitable venture, Daddy will stop pushing me to join the real freaks. On Wall Street.
Pete knows about your background?
Pete knows me as Virginia Dentata, Dark Mistress of the Amazon. Some people know me as Vanessa Dalton, Ivy League grad. We all play different roles for different audiences.
So, Miss Dalton, Pete has no idea about your business ambitions, your plans for the theater.
My business strategy doesn't include murder. In fact, I've got an alibi for last night. I attended an alumni event all evening. Here's the program.
So you weren't with Pete last night?
While I was at the event, I assumed he was at home, but who knows? We agreed to alibi each other to keep things simple. I've got an idea. Why don't you kids hop in your smoke-filled mystery van and go ask him about it? Tell him I've moved on.
If Virginia wasn't with Pete last night, he could have been anywhere. Let's bring him in and see if he can tell the truth this time. We have a few questions, and then you might have a couple of questions of your own.
I had nothing to do with the dead girl from last night. Remember, I spent the whole night with Virginia. The whole night, together. Yeah, you got me. That's my shovel. When we called you guys about the girl, I knew I had to dump it. How'd you find it anyway? What do you mean she was at some fancy cocktail party? I can't believe this.
Virginia's real name is Vanessa Dalton.
Vanessa Dalton? Wait a sec, you're telling me? No!
Told you you might have some questions of your own. Yeah, Virginia didn't exist until a year ago. So your business partner and your girlfriend is Vanessa Dalton.
No, why would she lie to me?
Why don't you tell us the truth about last night? Where were you two?
I already told you the truth. We were together. Maybe there's some things I don't know about her, but I was with her last night at my place. Geez, that. Yeah, okay. We found the girl, me and Vince. And he got rid of her. That was all. I'd seen her around before, knew she was a prostitute. Figured it wouldn't be much of a big deal if we just relocated her, you know?
You mean hid her.
It wasn't like that, I swear. She said she was going to a movie, a chick flick. She said I'd be bored. We agreed it'd be best to say we'd been with each other. But bring her in here, we'll sort this out.
Vanessa said she's moving on. She asked that we not give you her forwarding information. Sorry.
She left me. She lied and she left me. I got nothing. What do I need to say to be put in a cage? All right, I killed them. I shoved swords down those women's throats until they choked to death on their own ice-cold blood. Is that enough?
That's his broken heart talking. And you know what? Vital organs make notoriously bad witnesses. His confession actually points to his innocence. The killer would know that the sword wasn't what killed Bunny. And as for Monica Green, Sid just called and said he's got some autopsy results.
Hey, Sid, what you got for me?
Well, initial examination shows her final moments were similar to Bunny's. Injection of deadly toxins in the neck, lacerations in her esophagus, consistent with a sword being shoved into and then pulled out of her throat.
Grizzly.
I thought you'd want to take a look at this. On the left here is the laparoscopic view of the new victim's stomach. The right side shows a view of a normal stomach. See what I see? That's right, hard candies. I don't think the candy made the sword go down any easier, though.
I'm gonna head over to the lab right now, see if I can identify just what type of sweet it was.
Your candy's on deck for trace analysis, but don't worry, I'll keep you entertained while you wait. Monica Green's clothing is an upscale brand. Not the same brand as Bunny's, but comparably expensive. Thought you might be able to do a cross-reference search for any store that sells both brands. That's it. Bonatella's Boutique, Upper East Side off Lexington. I'll get a warrant for their sales record and see what kind of surveillance they have. Looks like it's time to take a hard look at the hard candy. The sample image on the left is from the candy box found in the theater. The right side is from the Vic's stomach. See if they match up. You got it. The candy from Monica's stomach is the same type that Archie was gobbling at the crime scene. Might not be a big deal if it was just your average sour ball, but this brand has to be ordered directly from a little candy maker in London. Probably worth asking him how his candy got in her belly.
APB on the local fast food joints turned up, Archie.
Mr. Fox, sorry to tear you away from your burger.
I eat like 6 times a day. I've got a big appetite. Voracious, my uncle says. That's a word, right? When I see something I want, I can't help myself. I just grab it and sink my teeth into it.
I bet you do. Strong impulses, huh?
If that means sometimes stuffing my face and hardly even remembering it afterward, then yeah. My Uncle Luke. You know what? You should ask if he knows anything about a murderer around here. He's got a good eye for sickos. That's why he told me to go to Nightmare Pete's in the first place. I want you in there right when the owners arrive, he said. And bring your camera. We need proof of whatever depraved things are going on in that place. Kinda cool. Like a spy, right? But who'd have thought I'd see what I saw?
My guess is your uncle did.
That was in cider? It looks like the same candy I had, but you guys took mine at the theater. I love this stuff, and I don't know where my uncle gets it. I told him once he's got Fantastica Amusement Park all ready, he should order a whole bunch of the stuff for the concession stands. Yeah, those candies are my favorite.
We need to look around Lucas Trenton's office at the construction site, but his taste in candy isn't enough for a warrant.
How about his taste in clothing? Lab just got sales records from Bonatella's boutique. Lucas Trenton's the one customer in the last month who bought the particular combination of clothing that we found on our victims. That's enough for a warrant. Let's check out his office.
Some sort of circuitry?
Sure looks that way. Let's try to connect it all up.
Okay, so what's this, a hiding spot of some sort?
Looks like Mr. Trenton didn't want anyone to find this.
Both the syringe and the vial had identical trace residue. Figured you'd want to compare it to the toxic cocktail that was used to kill our Vicks. That proves it. The victims were killed with the same deadly chemical combination that was in the vial and syringe from Lucas's office. Here's something else. The tube of lipstick we found contains epithelials. Let's see if we can match the DNA from these skin cells to DNA from our two Vicks. That's about as perfect a chromosomal match as you can get. Looks like both victims used that tube of lipstick.
Or if my theory's correct, Lucas used it on them.
Could we be quick about this? I have work to do, you know. Redemption, rejuvenation, these things don't happen on their own. If I'm going to deliver on the promise I made to my friends and family, that Coney Island will be safe again, I can't spend any more time away from my site. Fantastica Amusement Park's construction is at a critical stage. My supervision and guidance is imperative. Is that really relevant? Well, I've got a sister and a few nephews.
We've been talking with one of your nephews.
You don't say. Which one? Cliff, who runs a batting cage in Tulsa?
Archie, who was there when our first Vic was discovered.
Oh, I had no idea he was there. You know, now that you mention him, Archie has always possessed an unpredictable temperament. Whether he's capable of double homicide? That's not for me to say. Just some trash I picked up at my site that I must have forgotten to throw away.
You always hide your trash in secret cabinets?
I don't know. Maybe I was holding on to it for some reason or another. I forget now, whatever it was.
Or maybe you were worried that we could match it to the 2 women you applied it to.
That's disgusting. Addicts abound in the area. One of them must have slipped into my trailer, used it as their pad to get drugged up, or whatever it is they call it.
How do you explain the fact that it contained the trace elements of poison that killed both our victims? The woman found on your property and the woman found at Nightmare Pete's.
I can't keep track of all the vices the people around here engage in. Maybe suicide's the new high. Can't blame them, really. Some of these people are so lost, death would be a sweet relief.
Is that a confession, Lucas?
Absolutely not. I don't know what you're trying to pull here, but it's not going to work. Oh, Lord, don't tell me my favorite treats were present at a murder. Just despicable. Certainly, I'm not the only New Yorker who orders candy. Anyway, I just opened a new box when it disappeared from my office. Could have been any sideshow creep who broke into the trailer and snatched it.
Your story doesn't add up, Mr. Trenton. The evidence does. The clothing on the victims are the exact outfits you purchased for Bonatella's boutique.
I am a crusader. I am the one restoring Coney Island. Why would I, of all people, throw 2 dead bodies onto the already towering heap of sin in this area?
Because you thought 2 more bodies might finally make the whole pile fall.
What are you talking about?
You decided to kill 2 women. Why? Because, hey, how did you put that a couple of minutes ago? Death would be a sweet relief for them. And this way, the press and the local government couldn't ignore the troubled state of Coney Island.
I would never kill 2 women.
Maybe you would have stopped at 1, but when word of Monica Green's death never surfaced, you were angry, so you had to try again. And this time, you weren't letting the body vanish without evidence. You dispatched your unwitting nephew to snap a few photos of it, didn't you?
They just tossed her aside like trash, staining the grounds of my development.
And you treated her with respect? Please, you injected poison into her neck and shoved a sword down her throat.
More respect than those girls deserved. They were a sacrifice, and it wasn't cheap. After they were gone, I dressed them beautifully, made them pretty again, so that their exits from this life would be accompanied by a grace and dignity they would never find while living. That heap of sin will fall one day, and you and all the others who let it gather will be crushed under its tremendous weight.